our meeting back into session here after a brief recess. As we left off, we were marching through the unfinished business. We're down to item C, which is the Knight Holloway Culvert Replacement Bid Approval. And we've also tied in the Budget Amendment 228 with that. So let's see who is...
I'll be glad to report on that.
All right. Shannon, you're up.
Yes, this is a project that was started a few months back. It was brought to our attention by Mr. Richard Knight, who is a resident off of Knight Holloway. Mm-hmm. And so we had a discussion. We've had 2 or 3 discussions, actually public forum about this. We actually conducted the research on the street, and we found out that it definitely is a private street. So Knight Holloway is a private street. And so we sent letters. We sent one round of letters out to the property owners. We did get responses back on that first round of letters that we sent. And we sent recently another round of letters out to those who did not respond, basically saying, fax us back a letter, and so we can take action on this date if necessary. We did not get letters back on those 3 additional properties that we needed to hear something from. In short, unless council chose to do otherwise, staff's recommendation would be that unless we get full participation from those property owners on this project, that we not move forward. I would say that we could do that a couple of ways. We could table this and give the property owners who have said they will contribute opportunity to contact the other property owners and let them speak with them and explain the importance of this to them. We've tried now twice. It may be time to let those property owners who want to see action on this contact the others to see if they can get their participation. One, and the second item probably to bring to your attention is that that the culvert, where the culvert is, there is sediment erosion that's taking place. It is washing into the stream and eventually ends up into the town's pond that's behind Lake Lure Landing. It's not making its way into the lake because that pond in the back, as we know, has been filling up with other sediment. But that pond really was there and meant to keep the sediment out of the lake. So we're protecting the lake, and we are catching it, but it finds its way into our pond, and when that pond has to be dredged, it's dredged at the town's cost. So any way we can get others to participate in the repair, I believe, is the way to go. And we certainly can table this until we get full participation.
One question, and you may know this, you may not. Do you have any concept of what the cost for the dredging is of the pond?
I do not. I do know that Dean would probably know.
And the reason I ask, if we're spending more money on dredging the pond than what it costs to fix this, then it's in the public interest for us to make that repair at town expense. And it's in the town's best interest to do it that way because we would come out cheaper in the long run. I understand we can't spend public funds on private property unless there's a public interest served.
Correct.
And so I would like to try to get data from that standpoint. Would it be better and more economical and more feasible for us to fix it at the current cost of what's recommended, as opposed to paying that extra dredging cost? So.
I agree with Mr. Weber that we certainly have a right, based on our new ordinance that was passed, that gives us the ability to do this kind of work in this situation. I would say that when you look at total cost for dredging or cleaning out that pond, this is probably contributing only a small fraction of what's going into that pond. But it is contributing. So it would be a percent of the cost, not the total cost for sure.
Right, I mean, would it cause us to have to dredge it more often? Is it that significant? Or is it so minor that we maintain a regular dredging schedule?
Right.
And at which point, then that approach would not be applicable?
I will say that it's going to increasingly get worse
Yeah.
as that culvert continues to rot and collapse.
Is there environmental issues at the pond that we have to be aware of and deal with if we decided to dredge that? I mean, is there some, extinct, about to be extinct mudworm that's living up in the upper end of that we have to be concerned about or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge. I believe it's probably too wet for a bog turtle. And
So we can
spotted
clean
owls
that
probably
out
don't
totally.
live there.
You can clean it, I know a little bit about that, and it was the last time we cleaned it out, we had to bring in the water quality people and the wetlands people, and they said, if you look, you'll see where it was dug out, and about that time it chops off about 15 feet into the pond, and they determined, they said, that's wetland, rest of it's pond. So that's why there's a cutoff and a bunch of brush in the high end of that.
Can't go up, you
Can't
can't
get
go up.
that, nope. We were given a line that we could dredge to. At that point, we were informed that's a wetland by their definition.
We did call both the state and Army Corps about the replacement, so when we're ready to do that, if we get there, we can do that. It's perfectly fine.
I remembered there was an issue before.
Yep.
That was the reason I asked that
One,
question.
one person made that decision.
Would it have a proactive effect possibly if we approve this with intent that we would be willing to do this and do our cost share if we could get the full participation of the other owners? And if we went on record committing to that now, could it have that positive effect on those other property owners that have not yet responded?
I think that would, I think that's a good
so.
suggestion. I think it would put
No,
an election pressure on
yeah.
them.
I do
So
too.
I'm fine with doing
Do you want to
that.
make the motion?
I make the motion that we approve the Knight Holloway culvert replacement bid approval contingent upon all property owners accepting their full cost share, which is estimated at $1,500 per lot. And that's it.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Cameron. All right, further discussion?
Would we want to, would we want to require all of the 1,500 up front, or let them split it up in over 2 years, like $750 now and $750 in a year? That,
We'd accept payments, I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that could be worked out at a later
Yeah.
date.
Right.
Or 500
Monthly
over,
payment.
yeah, 500 over 3 years.
sure.
That would make it a lot
Progress
more
payment.
palatable.
That'll make it
probably.
easier on them, make it happen.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
In following that, then, I make a motion that we deny Budget Amendment 228.
Do we have to have a motion to deny it, or just not?
Well, it's presented
motion.
to us for approval, I don't know, do we? Table it. Just to close the loop on it?
Table it?
I'll defer to Sam in that, do we need to open up the line item to receive any of the contributions from the property owners? Does there need to be an account set up for us to receive? There already is. Okay.
What do we need to do to dispose of that 228?
Nothing?
Nothing?
Just don't add
Okay.
it?
All right, I withdraw the motion.
All right. Very good. Okay, so that brings us to the final item of business, which is new business on our regular agenda here. And this is the deals with our dam. And this deals with a brand new, or actually, finally, we have a operations, maintenance, and inspection plan for our dam that was sorely lacking in the past. And we have Dr. Dan Marks here with us tonight. He is one of two authors of this plan. It combines the operation, as I understand it, of the hydroelectric plant, which is, that part is being authored by a different person, and Dr. Dan is focused on the actual operation of the dam itself. And so, I guess, Dr. Marks, if you want to give us a few a little introduction to it and tell us where we are and what we'd like to do. There's a suggested motion to adopt it, so let's hear what it is first.
Okay. Well, before I present you with copy number 1, Mayor, I would like to make one stop.
Okay?
I'm going to give this to Ms. Michelle,
Okay?
our new clerk. She has assured me that's going to have a chain on it. I'll get it to her bookshelf to the door, and then it's going to lock it up. It should not leave this building. I have copies for those that are here. You get copy number 1. There's a distribution sheet inside.
Okay?
Mr. Shannon, you get number 2.
Thank you, sir.
I have jumped ahead a little bit and given Mr. David Airwood number 3. I plan on circulating, I believe there were 8 total of people who need those, and that goes to the operator, and then some copies that will be placed at the powerhouse and in my files, but the powerhouse copy will be the living copy.
Okay?
It will be a living document, whereas anything that comes up that is visualized that needs to be changed by people that are responsible for the operation, maintenance, and inspection plan can insert into that living copy, and then perhaps on a semi-annual basis, we'll update that. Let me make one other announcement about the manual itself, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it. When it was decided that when it was decided for us, I guess, that we needed an O&M plan, and that's what it used to be called, the operation and maintenance plan for dams in the United States. People have started calling them operation, maintenance, and inspection, because inspection is a bigger part than probably the operation and the maintenance. So I have taken the liberty of naming ours the operation, maintenance, and inspection plan. I guess the first in the nation that took on that title, which is the correct title now, according to FEMA. So we're up to speed. We're up to date and ahead of people. We decided to break the O&M plan into 2 parts. Because at some point in time, I don't know why you'd want to, but you may decide you didn't want to produce power anymore. But you're not under the FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, because you didn't. But the dam, the hydroelectric portion of the dam began producing power in 1928, and the FERC was not formed until 1935. So you predated the FERC, so you're exempt, totally exempt. Now, there are exempt dams, private dams, that still have a license with FERC, but it's a reduced license. But you're totally resolved of FERC, thank goodness. That's one thing you want to be out of. Anyway, we decided to break this apart, and Mr. Charles Merrick wrote the power portion, and he disseminated his through UPS. So I have my manuals I assume, Mayor, that you received a UPS package?
Not yet? Unless you've seen it?
David,
No?
did you get yours?
I haven't got one, but I think there is a package here.
Oh, there's, okay.
Somewhere?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
anyway.
I think so.
We'll find it.
Okay. I don't know anything I could do about that except call Charles. But anyway, he wrote that. I've gotten halfway through it, and it looks good to me. Of course, he had a lot of help because he wrote about the generators and the alternators and all that. So he used a lot of manufacturing stuff. I dealt with the construction stuff. There's a lot of difference between manufacturing something and constructing something. You can't construct anything identical ever again. It's just impossible. It's too much personal stuff in it. But you can manufacture identical stuff all day. But anyway, so somewhere floating around here, we have the hydro O&M plan, and now we have the dam O&I plan. I have chosen to write my part of the plan, overall plan, in a manner in which it could be used as a training guide, an operator in training manual, which I plan to use and try to build the operator into a true operator. I'm checking now with FERC. I've been doing dams for a long time. I've never heard of one, but I'm going to try to find out for sure. FEMA, I've got calls into FEMA and FERC to find out if there is a certification program. Never heard of one. Never heard of a operator being certified. But if there is a certification, I want one. And I think it would behoove the city to have their operator certified. So with that, I will leave it with you. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you on developing this. If there are any, I know you're going to find some blips and bloops. Anytime you put together something like this, you can entertain yourself by finding a lot of stuff. As far as edification is concerned, I used to be a college professor, and so I expected my students to have thick skin, and I do too. So don't be hesitant to call to my attention that I made a boo-boo and left out something or need something added. I appreciate this opportunity. I congratulate the new interim manager. Happy birthday, Your Honor. And congratulations, young lady. And she's got a sore back, so y'all don't overwork her. She hurt her back some kind of way. But she's a hard worker.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dan. Appreciate that. Just to kind of where we go on this, I would like for us, the town, and the folks involved in the dam and its operation, as well as myself and Shannon, to have a chance to really go through both of these documents, which are large. Before we go to adopting something, before we've had a chance to see it and read it. I'm sure it's a well-done document, knowing Dr. Marks, and he's a thorough person and likes to do things from the beginning to the end, and I suspect that's what we're going to see. But I'd like to just table this item, maybe, if with your concurrence. Sure. We'll come back maybe in August after everybody's had a chance to see it. I would point out a couple things as we're in this discussion. how this actually fits into a lot of things that are ongoing with us in our dam. Based on just the awareness of how sensitive our dam is to the way in which it's operated in the lake levels, and just having come through a fairly traumatic experience with the tropical storm, and kind of on the fly, having to move in a way that we engaged Dr. Dan as a guidance resource while that event was going on, and just seeing how the dam really needs to be operated in an empirical way, not just kind of a by the seat of our pants way. We're moving towards a scientific, we call it, I think this was Shannon's term, a scientific operation. This OM&I manual fits in perfectly with that, because now we have a tool that helps us train and upgrade the folks that are going to work, do this job in the future, and I'm assuming it takes a more methodical, scientific approach, and we'll see. So that's what my recommendation is.
One question I have: are we okay with the state now and meeting all their milestones that they're putting before us, or are we on track with that? Meeting the milestones with the state that the state put out there for us, or are we doing that and state's
Yes.
okay with us now?
And that's what I just put in my notebook.
Okay.
I have written a draft letter, the mayor has reviewed it, and will be in Raleigh by the end of the week. So that will catch us up with the state.
Good.
I have already verbally discussed the contents of this letter with the regional engineer to get his advice. The way they're set up, having a regional engineer, you can go to him and talk about things, how to do things with the dam safety engineer in Raleigh, and
Right.
not get yourself in deep water.
Right, understand.
So, I've talked to him a couple of times. He advised this is the way to approach it. So I wrote the letter, the mayor's reviewed it, and then we'll send it to Raleigh, and that'll catch us up to speed.
That's the one he wanted by August 1st, I believe.
These two items they want submitted, that's the contracts that we, addendum that we just approved for Dr. Marks. He's been working on it now for at least 2 weeks. He's got a laundry list of things he's already finished on his way, to getting to the model and the analysis and everything, so.
We're not required to adopt this document to
No.
satisfy the state by August 1st.
No, that's not on our critical
Just want to make sure.
list, right? I mean, they know that we've developed this, and they like the fact that we're marching down this road, but it's not part of the demand letter or the compliance letter.
They know that this manual exists now, and I assure you that it'll make a difference.
Great.
Yep, no, I think we're in a pretty good place right now, and then we'll see when we move forward.
All right. I appreciate the effort.
Now, there's a lot of aspects to this that aren't yet completed, correct? I mean, I haven't seen the whole thing, but I assume there's still stuff there to be added to it that aren't there. It isn't there?
Great deal.
Okay.
It's a living document, you said,
Right.
Dr. Marks, right? So that, it's gonna be changing.
Just like you'd have a living document if you were designing a project.
And
Well,
this manual is kind of the normal operation of the dam, right? I mean,
Yes.
the other document that we've just approved he's going to work on is emergency action plan, which is what happens when there's a severe storm and we have to change from
Right,
our
right.
normal plan to some other higher order.
Right, I understand the emergency action plan, one thing. The OMI plan, and there's supposed to be emergency sections within this plan
Yeah.
that we did a previous contract on for both you and Mr. Merritt. And I understand the living document means it's going to change frequently based on needs and so on, but I'm looking at the completion of the base document prior to, whatever goes into place and changes there. A good example, you started off with your distribution of it, who gets what copy. and that's a very specified distribution. For 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, changes go on. We need, I believe that distribution list should be part of your table of contents, so any changes in the future go to those specific recipients where the copies are maintained, and we track that. Otherwise, today, the fire department gets a copy, next week David gets a different copy, that kind of stuff. So that should be part of it.
Mayor, if you look on number 7 in the table, or
Yeah.
in the table.
I mean, I haven't seen this, but that's just a comment noticing what I saw there.
It's not only their name,
Right.
but their title. So I started not to put the names at all.
Right.
But, I don't know why, but the state's kind of sticky about that. They want to see a name. It would help us if they could just do away with names and we could identify.
Right. Right.
I'm anxious to read it. So.
Yes, but, yes, it is, there's a lot of stuff. It depends also, Mr. Weber, who is in that position.
I got it, yeah.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, what level they need to be introduced. You know,
Right.
maybe over their head, maybe under their head,
Right.
Yeah.
below. So, kind of,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you very much. All right.
We
Okay.
needed a motion to
table it.
Just
Table
table it? No, just act on it. Just let it lie there. Okay, well, that,
Well,
yes, sir?
we had a suggested motion.
Right, which we're not going to act on at this point, I don't think, if we're just going to table it and
Right.
That's
take
what-
it under advisement.
But
Yeah.
we normally do a motion to table.
You want to do it?
That's what, Commissioner Kilby's asking.
Okay. You want a motion to
I'm just
table?
asking if it's necessary, I'm not saying that it is. I'm.
Let's assume that it is.
That's,
I think
we,
normally.
Yeah.
I'd say do it just to be, just to have a record of what happened.
Right.
I make a motion that we, table the suggested motion to adopt the dam OM&I plan dated July 2018.
Okay.
Till,
To a time certain to
August.
to
Up to
eight-
the, I guess,
August 14th?
August 14th meeting.
Yeah, okay.
I
Very
second
good.
that.
You want to second that, Commissioner Weber?
Makes
All-
sense.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay.
I'll make the motion that we go into closed session in accordance with GS 143-318.11A6 for the purpose of discussing personnel matters.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second by Commissioner Kilby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And so we'll go into closed session in the conference room. For those that are here, we will reconvene the meeting, if for nothing else than to adjourn. So we will come back here, hopefully in the not-too-distant future.
You only got 6
4 minutes, 6 minutes, something like, I don't know.
I got my deadline.